Act 1. Suzanne.
Yeah! Suzanne was an actress in the local summer theater. The folks in town never got used to seeing her with black feathered hair and eyes green as grass. And my, oh my, what a sweet behind. Her hips like a lyre, her bosom a dream, her perfect skin smooth as cream. She wore giant gold hoops on shell pink ears with little ankle bells that attracted the jeers. She slept till noon most every day, then she'd appear on her porch. Showtime, hooray! She'd puff up her hair and stretch like a flirt, then locking the door, she'd drop the key down her shirt. Barefoot she'd walk, if you could call it a walk. It was an undulating, tinkling glide. Whatever it was, she did it with pride. This is the tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as a lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad, 'cause she embodied everything that he never had. The crowd in the drugstore saw her down the block. All the men stared, all the women in shock. The old druggist Hinkley had her newspapers ready, handing them over, trying to keep his hand steady. Mr. Hinkley, you're an angel. She smiled and cooed in a voice so rich it could almost be food. Then she'd walk out the door with the same bump and grind. The view equally stunning, but this time from behind. With her papers clutched to that wonderful tip, she returned like a swan to her exotic nest. The one girl show, each day was the same until the thing happened to cause her great shame. This is a tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as a lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad, 'cause she embodied everything that he never had. One day Suzanne was telling Hinkley what an angel. Clapping was heard that was truly disdainful. The solo applause came from a uniformed man on a counterbar stool, looking lean and tan. Everyone looked at him while Suzanne lost her cool. Then Sergeant Rob Foster stood up from that stool. He was a tall, rugged man, just back from a war. So this would be a skirmish and nothing more. He had tried to control his slow burning anger, not take it out on this pretty haughty stranger. This is a tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as a lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad, 'cause she embodied everything that he never had. Yeah!
Act 2. Sargent Foster.
This is a tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad, 'cause she embodied everything that he never had. Then Foster said, "Who do you think you are?" "I'm an actress," was her proud reply. "That figures," Foster said, smirking and rolling back his eyes. "I see you come down the street like a circus parade. Is that your act or just a charade?" Miss Foster said, "You've got some gall. You wouldn't hold hands with me if I was falling off a wall." "To hell with you," he said, as he made for the door. "And all your kind," he shouted with scorn, like that was gone, like a midsummer storm. No one took notice of poor Suzanne. She felt like a boxer, dazed and sore. She thought she knew she was just moments before. As Foster strode down the dusty main street, he heard the patter of tinkling bare feet and a sobbing girl making her haste in retreat. This is a tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. drugstore that day she made him mad. She embodied everything that he never had. This is a tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad. She embodied everything that he never had. At noon the next day, Suzanne didn't appear. Instead of moving van, hot park in the rear. Two men climbed the stairs to a lofty nest. Then a short time later, climbed down with a chest. Satisfied Sargent asked Coleman Hinckley, I didn't tell her to leave. Foster replied succinctly, you didn't leave her much choice, came the terse reply. Foster thought for a moment that he couldn't deny. She's scared you stiff, Hinckley said, trying to prod, much to the light of some looker's son. I'm not afraid, the sergeant said, as he felt his face flushing red. That's good, said Hinckley, going in for the kill. Then bring her these papers, if you've got the will. Hinckley dumped the papers into Foster's lap, then shuffled upstairs for his afternoon nap. The audience had all eyes trained on him, wondering what he would do. Tucking the papers and his arm walked out the door as if on cue. This is a tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad. She embodied everything that he never had. This is a tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad. She embodied everything that he never had.
Act 3. Conflict.
This is the tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad. She embodied everything that he never had. As he climbed the stairs to Suzanne's nest, his mind was racing. How'd I get into this mess? You know damn well you got a big mouth. He's right about that. He had to confess to himself. Her door was wide open and her back was turned. Didn't know what to say. He waited to be spurned. His well-trained eyes took in her room at a glance. He couldn't speak, in some kind of trance. Foster imagined her nest dark and still, with yoga music from Alexa on the windowsill, reeking of incense, wall posters and mirrors to reflect her doubts, her angst, her fears. But the truth was a cheesy summer rental, nothing fancy, only bare essentials. A tiny sink, linoleum floor, a banged up counter with a missing drawer, an ancient fridge, a murky mirror, one frying pan, not much more. This is the tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad. She embodied everything that he never had. Croaked Foster, his voice just a whisper. Mr. Hinckley sent him over. God, what a fibber. Suzanne whirled to see who the kind courier was. Oh, it's stupid. Is it stupid? Does I didn't mean to make you leave. Foster blurted, not wanting to say more. You suggest I stay? She snarled after calling me a tart, a wrench, a whore. I never called you any of those things. Foster said annoyed. Did you ever stop to think what it's like to be me? There's somebody living inside me.
I have a soul, you know.
I didn't sleep a wink last night because of you. She went on. You know what I said to you, you big moron? No, said Foster backing away. She followed him, tripping over an ashtray. He caught her in his arms before she hit the floor and stood her upright like she was before. Only now their faces were just inches apart, neither daring to move, but both felt their hearts. They stepped away from the moment as if prearranged, and they both could sense that something had changed. Suzanne was breathing heavy when she finally spoke. Softer, now no fire, just smoke. All through high school, people like you would look at me as if I were a leper. They never asked me to dance, talk to me, or even buy me a Dr. Pepper. All of a sudden you started yelling at me in the drugstore, and I never even seen your face before. This is the tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad. She embodied everything that he never had.
Act 4. Resolution.
This is a tale of Sargent Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland. In the drugstore that day she made him mad, 'cause she embodied everything that he never had. Suddenly she burst into tears. "What's the matter with you?" she said, falling on her bed. And again Foster felt his face burning red. "Never had a chance with a girl like you, that's all. I'm sorry about everything. Well, I got a haul," he said as he turned to walk down the short hall. "Wait," she snapped, "you can't do that. You're not getting off that easy. You made me feel sleazy." "What can I do?" said Foster uneasily. "You can walk me down Main Street as though you were proud to be seen with me," she said as she stood up tall from her bed. Then she pointed a finger at his chest, saying, "It's the least you can do, and you know it too." So it came to be that Sergeant Robert robbed Foster fresh home from war in a far-off land. Found himself trapped without a plan, about to pay his dues to Suzanne. This is a tale of Sergeant Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland, yeah. In the drugstore that day she made him mad, 'cause she embodied everything that he never had. She had ordered him out while she changed her clothes and touched up her pretty face. As she stepped back from the mirror, she said to herself, "Welcome back to the human race." Then she made a quick call to Mover and Son and asked them to bring back her chest. As she walked out the door, she finally felt at peace, knowing fate would take care of the rest. It took a while for him to look at her, smile and offer his arm. Suzanne was barefoot, happy, regaining all her charm. With giant gold hoops on her shell pink ears, holding Foster's arm lightly, ignoring the cheers. She began her undulating, tinkling walk that was more of a glide. Whatever it was, she did it with pride. The closer they got to the drugstore, more faces appeared in the window. Smile and be nice, this is your chance, show them you're not ashamed. Tell them I'm not some bimbo. "Mind if I smoke?" said Foster, fumbling for his pack of Pall Mall. "That's considerate of you to ask," said Suzanne with a smile. "No, I don't mind at all." By steadying his right hand with his left, his hands felt clammy and wet. Sergeant Robert Foster, fresh home from a far-off land, managed to light a cigarette. They say you can't judge a book by its cover. In truth, they weren't all that different from one another. He made the most of the chance she had given, and by the end of the day all was forgiven. Foster thanked Hinckley for his devious plan, and as they left the drugstore, he saw Suzanne.
I have a soul,
Take his hand. This is a tale of Sergeant Foster and Suzanne. Saw himself as lonely and bland, yeah. In the drugstore that day she made him mad, 'cause she embodied everything that he never had. So ends a tale of Sergeant Foster and Suzanne. He saw himself as lonely and bland.
The end.